All right, let's just be real for a second. If you're a web designer, using AI has probably felt more frustrating than futuristic, right? Well, today that is going to change. We are about to dive into a framework that will completely shift how you get incredible, production-ready designs out of Gemini 3.
Here it is, the brutal truth. And this comes straight from people like Jason Zhao, who are deep in the trenches with this tech every single day. The old habits you built with other models, they aren't just not working with Gemini 3, they are actively making your designs worse. This model is a completely different beast. Sure, it's more powerful, but it's also incredibly sensitive. The good news? There is a method to tame it.
So let's nail down the actual problem. You ask for a cutting-edge landing page for a SaaS company, and what do you get back? Something that looks like a cheap template from 2015. You are not alone, I promise. This is a massive issue, and it all comes down to how most of us are prompting these new models. There's actually a technical term for this: convergent defaults. It's the model's habit of falling back on the safest, most average, most common patterns it was trained on whenever it's not given super specific directions. You can think of it as the AI's comfort zone. And this is exactly why you and so many other designers are getting buried in what the community has started calling purple AI slop. Now, here's the part that's going to feel completely backwards. With the older models, what was the fix? Just add more detail, right? Write a longer prompt. With Gemini 3, that exact strategy can actually destroy your output. The performance gets worse. It's so sensitive that it just ignores long, messy instructions, and you end up right back in that generic purple default zone. And look, this isn't just some interesting technical quirk. The professional cost here is huge. Every hour you waste re-rolling prompts and trying to fix generic designs is an hour you can't bill. Even worse, you risk walking into a client presentation with mockups that just look amateur, and that totally undermines your credibility. Okay, enough complaining about the problem. Let's get into the solution. And this is not some random hack I found on the internet. This is a systematic framework developed by the folks at Anthropic and used by pros like Jason Zhu. It is designed to give you surgical precision and control over what Gemini creates. The framework itself is actually beautiful in its simplicity. It's just 3 steps. First, you identify the repetitive, generic junk you keep getting. Second, you figure out why the model keeps defaulting to that junk. And third, the most important step, you give it specific, concrete alternatives to use instead. Let's break down each one. Step 1 is all about awareness. You've got to become a detective of your own work. So here's a challenge for you. Pause this right now and go look at your last 3 to 5 Gemini web design outputs. I'm serious. Do they all have that same purple or blue gradient? Do they all use the same boring sans serif font? Are they all a basic 2-column layout? Spotting that pattern is the absolute first step to breaking it. Okay, so why does this happen? It's crucial to understand this. Gemini is giving you generic slop because your prompt is missing the essential context it needs to do anything else. It has no visual anchors, like a reference image. It has no idea what your project's design system is. And it's missing key technical constraints and something called prompt altitude. Like, are you asking for a lo-fi wireframe or a pixel-perfect mockup? Without that info, it has no choice but to guess. And this is where you take back control. You have to be relentlessly specific. Don't just say, use some cool icons. Say, use icons from the Iconify Solar duotone library. Don't say, use a clean font. Say, set all typography to SF Pro. Give it a design system to work with. Constrain the layout with technical specifics like 100 VH sections. You are literally replacing the AI's bad habits with your own professional, high-quality decisions. All right, let's move from theory to practice. Let's see how this all stacks up in a real-world workflow. We're going to look at how Jason Zhu uses this exact method to generate professional-grade wireframes in Excalidraw, completely skipping that generic mock-up garbage. Just look at the difference here. On the left, you have the prompt that 99% of people write. It's vague, it's lazy, and it is basically asking for a generic purple design. Now, on the right, you have a prompt built using our 3-step framework. It is precise. It provides concrete alternatives for the layout, the type, the icons. It gives the model no choice but to build something specific and intentional. So, what do you actually get from that generic prompt? Well, you get this. It's predictable, it's bland, and it is completely unusable for any serious client work. This is the before picture, and I bet it looks painfully familiar. And now, the result from this specific constrained prompt. Would you look at that? A clean, structured, professional wireframe that actually understands modern layout conventions. It's not just a little better, it's in a completely different universe. That is the power of precision. Pay attention, because this might be the single most important tactical insight we're going to cover. The number one mistake almost everyone makes is how they structure their prompt. We all tend to lead with the command, create a web page that does X, Y, and Z. That is backwards. For Gemini 3, you must provide all the context before you give the final instruction. And this isn't just a style tip, it's backed by hard data. Structuring your prompts with all the context first, the constraints, the references, the alternatives, that can lead to a 22 to 34% jump in accuracy and quality. This one change to your workflow is a massive, massive performance boost. So, how can you put this into action, like right now? Let's boil this all down into a dead simple tactical checklist you can use on your very next project. Before you even think about writing your prompt, follow these 3 rules. 1. The screenshot method. Find 3 to 5 visual references to act as anchors for the AI. 2. The constraint stack. Define your typography, your colors, and your icon library before you start. And 3. The canvas first rule. If you want a visual design, for the love of God, make sure you're in canvas mode. It's simple, but you'd be surprised how many people forget. Let's wrap this up by talking about what this all really means, because this isn't just about making prettier mockups. Mastering this skill right now gives you a huge, tangible edge over everyone else in the market. This quote says it all. The window where you could get by with simple, lazy prompts is slamming shut. Gemini 3 rewards precision and deep expertise. The designers who really internalize this framework over the next month won't just be faster, they'll be operating on a level their competition simply can't reach. And here's the best part. This is still cutting-edge stuff. A lot of so-called AI design experts are still teaching outdated techniques from the ChatGPT era that just do not work anymore. By understanding this framework, you are officially ahead of the curve. So I want to leave you with a final thought and a challenge, because this knowledge is useless if you don't apply it. What's the absolute worst, most frustrating, most generic AI design you've ever gotten? Drop a description of it in the comments. I'll pick a few and show you exactly how to rebuild that prompt using this framework to get a world-class result. All right, let's get to work.